We are back for another episode of Mets Prospective. He's Joe DeMayo. I'm Jacob Resnick, and Joe, we have officially reached the halfway point of the minor league season. Let's just get right into it. What's your biggest takeaway been from the first 70 or so games of the minor league season?
For me, it's really the lower minors, specifically St. Lucie. They won the first half for the Florida State League. We've talked about the pitching staff that they have, but the offense has a ton of interesting guys like Alex Ramirez, who we have mentioned before on the show, and guys like Omar De Los Santos, who has stolen over 40 bases so far this season. There's some interesting bats there. And also we had Kevin Howard on just a couple weeks ago, and he mentioned guys in the Florida Complex League, guys in the Dominican Summer League. These are young guys that are going to be working their way up the system, and so far the early returns at the lower levels, I think, should have fans excited for what the system could be in the next year or two.
And I think for me, it's just how tantalizingly close these top prospects are to the major leagues. I mean, we've talked about them all season. Alvarez, Baty, Mauricio, Mark Vientos, and AAA. These guys are on the doorstep of the major leagues, and we don't know exactly when we're going to see them come up. Obviously, the Mets have been playing really well. They don't really have a ton of room for young guys who are just kind of trying to find their way in the big leagues, but they're certainly much closer than they were at this time last year. And depth in the upper minors is starting to extend past those guys a little bit. Obviously not the type of depth we see in other organizations, but compared to the last few years in the Mets system, we're seeing guys like Nick Plummer, Colin Holderman, even extended to last year. You got Tyler McGill. You've got more guys coming up and kind of filling in the holes on this team. And once you see the Alvarez's and the Vientos start to come up to the major leagues, I think you're starting to build more sustainable success with some younger guys that you're building, homegrown from the system coming up to the major leagues.
And obviously we have the 2022 MLB draft coming up here in less than a month. So obviously with the players that you spoke about and I spoke about, there's going to be a bunch of more players added into the system. They have 5 of the first 90 selections, including 2 first-round picks. So there's going to be an opportunity for the Mets to add an influx of high-level talent here in the next month, in addition to what they already have. So I think that's a pretty exciting sign for the future of this farm system.
A lot of eyes have been on AA Binghamton this year. The man tasked with leading the Rumble Ponies is manager Reid Brignac. You might remember him as a 9-year MLB veteran, most notably playing 5 years with the Tampa Bay Rays, and then bouncing around until his final season in 2016. He's now in his 3rd season as a minor league manager with the Mets, his first ever coaching job. He's been responsible for the day-to-day development of some of the organization's top prospects. We recently sat down with Reid to talk about 2 of the big bats in the Binghamton lineup, Brett Baty and Francisco Alvarez.
Everyone talks about Francisco Alvarez and his offensive skills. What's something that stands out about Alvarez that you get to see that we don't?
Yeah, definitely his personality and his love for his teammates. He really cares about everybody, from the 28th man on the roster to, his best friend from Venezuela. Like he's so bought in. He's such a team player, team-oriented guy. He pulls for everybody all the time, and it's just so refreshing to see.
You had Francisco at the beginning of last season in St. Lucie for a couple weeks, and then he proved that he was too good for low A ball before he got promoted. What, if anything, has changed with him between the beginning of last season to now in AA?
Just his maturity. I mean, yeah, it's just been 1 year. He's still only 20 years old, but he's so much more mature this year, handling failures. Like, you won't see Francisco hit himself on the helmet no more with his bat. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. He understands, like, we're not going to get a hit every time we get up to bat. And, even though you're really good, you're still going to fail 70% of the time. So he's starting to understand that. He's controlling his emotions better. He's done just a tremendous job of working at catching. I think he's top in the league on framing in AA. He's done a great job. So yeah, I would say just his maturity overall and his growth behind the plate.
What's one thing that you think he needs to improve on most before being major league ready?
Yeah, I would say, just continue to develop on learning how to handle this pitching staff, handling the relievers, getting a little better at game planning pre-game, doing his homework the night before on the opposing team that we're going to be facing, things like that. A catcher position is such a premium position. The hitting's exciting, right? But, there's more aspects to the game than just hitting. I mean, if Francisco was a center fielder or a right fielder and he was hitting like this, he would already be in the big leagues. But as a catcher, And being in that position, I mean, it's so much more goes into that position than the rest of the positions on the field. I think he has potential to be an all-star caliber player, you know, a superstar, 1% of the 1% type of player.
In watching Brett Baty, I've seen improvement in his game defensively at third. What growth have you seen from Brett here in 2022?
Just really consistent at the plate. He has a good approach. He doesn't expand often. He's a strong young man. And when he touches the ball, just like Francisco is very strong, but Brett's, he's just as strong and he hits the ball just as hard as Alvy does. Overall, he got off to a really good start defensively. Had a couple struggles on a couple balls that we worked on, and then recently he's been playing really well offensively and defensively.
I know this can be tough, but are there any major leaguers that his game might remind you of?
You know, potentially, even like Eric Chavez, even our hitting coach. I mean, I've seen them both play. Chavez, was super athletic and could really move over there at third base. You couldn't get anything by him. If Brett could get anywhere close to as good as Eric was at third base, then he would probably have a couple of Gold Gloves in his closet at the end of his playing career. So I know that's something he's a prideful player, Brett is, and he really wants to be great at defense. So he's going to continue to work there until he gets to that point.
A lot of great stuff from Reid there. Joe, what stood out to you about what he said about Francisco Alvarez?
What I found really interesting is talking about the defensive side of the game. You and I have talked about Alvarez a lot on this show. Obviously, we know the bat. We know everything that comes there. But on the defensive side, one thing that I had noted coming into the season was Alvarez really needs to work on his receiving. Reid actually told us in the interview that Francisco is now grading out as the best pitch framer in the AA Eastern League. So clearly there has been some growth on the receiving side. He's already got an above-average throwing arm. And what's really interesting is the biggest thing now is kind of the game planning, the day before work. So not even necessarily the day of work, being behind the plate in the middle of a game. It's preparing the night before, coming to the ballpark with the game plan to present to the pitchers that are going to pitch that day. So to me, that shows that maybe Francisco is a little further along defensively than maybe even you or I thought.
He also talked about Brett Baty, and I think Baty's really an interesting guy in the system, a guy we've tagged as just a pure hitter for a long time, and the power is something we've been waiting for, and we're starting to see it a little bit more. And the biggest thing I think is getting that swing path really straight, and he's really kind of straightened out that bat path, and he's starting to lift the ball a bit more. And we know he has that power, and he's just a matter of being able to unlock it and get to it more often. And I think once he does, it's really cementing his future as a starting third baseman, even more than it was in the past. And made that comparison to Eric Chavez, which is very appropriate considering that Chavez is the Mets major league hitting coach, and perhaps Brett will get to work with Eric one day.
You've got mail.
All right, it's time for our mailbag segment, and this week's question comes from Hatchie33, who asks, "You guys think Brandon McIlwain might be a legit prospect? Would love an analysis about him from you." Well, good thing you've got two guys who could give you an analysis on McIlwain. And obviously, McIlwain played both baseball and football at South Carolina and Cal. So you might remember him from the college football scene. He also played a little bit of baseball in college. The Mets signed him as an undrafted free agent in 2020. Remember, there was a 5-round draft that year. Made his pro debut in St. Lucie, but really impressed in high A with Brooklyn. And now he's up to Binghamton, where he's finding some success early. But Joe, what's your long-term outlook on McIlwain as a prospect?
He's a guy that honestly flew completely under the radar in the sense, like, I knew he was here. He's obviously a fantastic athlete by being a dual sport collegiate athlete at the Division I level, and that translates into his outfield defense. He could really roam out there, and I think the bat is something that's still a bit raw. He's performing, but I think his bat to ball skills are pretty good. It's not a big power bat. Maybe he does have kind of a backup outfielder type of profile. I don't think we're talking about a future everyday player, but the Mets certainly signed a premier athlete, and if you get enough athletes in the system, eventually some of them are going to turn into something.
Yeah, I think the two-sport guys are interesting because they're not as far along in their development as other guys who have been playing strictly baseball for most of their lives. So he doesn't have as many swings, doesn't have as many reps under his belt in his life as a lot of his teammates do. So he's already 24, but he might be, in terms of development, closer to where a 22-year-old might be. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where he goes by the end of the season. But just the fact that he's up to AA already and is tracking to be at AAA next year is really impressive, considering he was an undrafted free agent. And that's going to do it for us this week. For Joe DeMayo, I'm Jacob Resnick. We'll see you next time on Mets Perspective.
See the Mets of tomorrow play today. The Brooklyn Cyclones play baseball on the beach all summer long. Visit brooklyncyclones.com/tickets.